जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यमुनातिरवनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय यमुनातिरवनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Guruji, can you just database people can see. Go to Canto 3, chapter 28, text number 18. Kirtanya Tirtha Yashasam Punya Shloka Yashaskaram Dhyaye Devam Samagrangam Yavanna Chavate Manaha. I think you can zoom, just zoom it. Just for people to see the. Let me repeat it. So, Kirtanya Tirtha Yashasam Punya Shloka Yashaskaram Dhyaye Devan Samagram Grangam Yavanna Chavate Manaha. Kirtanya Tirtha Yashasam Punya Shloka Yashaskaram Dhyave Devam Samagrangam Yavanna Chavate Manaha. Those who want to repeat. Kirtanya Tirtha Yashasam Punya Shloka Yashaskaram Dhyaye Deva Samagrangam Yavanna Chavate Manaha. Kirtanya Tirtha Yashasam Punya Shloka Yashaskaram Dhyaye Deva Samagrangam Yavanna Chavate Manaha. Okay, so we'll read the transliteration. Kirtanya, worth singing. Tirtha Yashasam, the glories of the Lord. Punya Shloka, of the devotees. Yashakaram, enhancing the glory. Dhyayet, one should meditate. Devam, upon the Lord. Samagra angam, all the limbs. Yavat, as much as. Na, not. Chavate, deviates. Manaha, the mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The glory of the Lord is always worth singing, for His glories enhance the glories of His devotees. One should therefore meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead and upon His devotees. One should meditate on the eternal form of the Lord until the mind becomes fixed. Purport. One has to fix his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. When one is accustomed to thinking of one of the innumerable forms of the Lord, Krishna, Vishnu, Rama, Narayana, etc., he has reached the perfection of yoga. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. A person who has developed pure love for the Lord and whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of transcendental loving exchange always sees within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees especially see the Lord in the beautiful blackish form of Shyamasundaraha. That is the perfection of yoga. This yoga system should be continued until the mind does not vacillate for a moment. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayaha. The form of Vishnu is the highest individuality and is always visible to sages and saintly persons. The same purpose is served when a devotee worships the form of the Lord in the temple. There is no difference between devotional service in the temple and meditation on the form of the Lord, since the form of the Lord is the same whether he appears within the mind or in some concrete element. There are eight kinds of forms recommended for devotees to see. These forms may be made out of sand, clay, wood, stone. They may be contemplated within the mind or made out of jewels, metal, or painted colors. But all the forms are of the same value. It is not that one who meditates on the form within the mind sees differently from one who worships the form in the temple. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is absolute, and therefore there is no difference between the two. The impersonalists who desire to disregard the eternal form of the Lord imagine some round figure. They especially prefer the Omkara, which also has form. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that Omkara is the letter form of the Lord. Similarly, there are statue forms and paintings of the Lord. Another significant word in this verse is Punya Shloka Yashaskaram. The devotee is called Punya Shloka. As one becomes purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can also become purified simply by chanting the name of a holy devotee. The pure devotee of the Lord and the Lord Himself are non different. It is sometimes feasible to chant the name of a holy devotee. This is a very sanctified process. Lord Chaitanya was once chanting the holy names of the gopis when his students criticized him. Why are you chanting the name of the gopis? Why not Krishna? Lord Chaitanya was irritated by this criticism, and so therefore there was some misunderstanding between him and his students. He wanted to chastise them for desiring to instruct him on the transcendental process of chanting. The beauty of the Lord is that the devotees who are connected with his activities are also glorified. Arjuna, Prahlada, Janaka Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, and many other devotees were not even in the renounced order of life, but were householders. Some of them, such as Prahlada Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, were born of demoniac families. Prahlada Maharaj's father was a demon, and Bali Maharaj was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. Still, they have become famous because of their association with the Lord. Anyone who is eternally associated with the Lord is glorified with the Lord. The conclusion is that a perfect yogi should always be accustomed to seeing the form of the Lord, and unless the mind is fixed in that way, he should continue practicing yoga. Om Agyan Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tatpi Guruve Namaha. So this shloka actually specifies that why when we say Navavidha Bhakti, Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, why Sravanam is hearing is important, and why glorification of Lord is also important. And when we sing of Bhagavan, when we sing bhajans and we everything, glorifying Bhagavan means Sri Krishna is also his pastimes. When we sing Yashomati Nandana or we sing any other bhajana attributed to Sri Krishna, we see all about some bhajans are actually attributed towards the form of the Lord. Some are attributed to his pastimes. Some are attributed to the glories of his devotees. So, actually, it is said that glorification of his devotee is greater than him else. They are also bonified. But Archa Vigriga is that which has life form infused in it, because the deity breathes, it eats, it can talk, it can communicate. Just like Kalachandji is here, he is actually there. People may not realize it, because unless we see and interact with him personally, interaction does not mean coming close to him. As in the purport, it is said, Manasa Seva is actually very important. Meditation, Shravanam, then Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. Actually, thinking itself has to come first. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, Bhavama Davagni Nirvapanam. That means by only hearing about Bhagavan and chanting about Sri Krishna is actually we will get purified. In fact, that's why when we say whether we are at home or we are somewhere else, we should constantly think of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That will cause purification to us. Yes, there is obviously the topmost yogi or the Bhagavata, for him, his mind and process of thinking of Bhagavan is equivalent to actually. But in the initial stages, even when we think, that causes purification. That's why it's a anukulasya sankalpasya, then pratikulpa varjanam, which means when we think, because mind will waver, we may think of other things, but at least if we can take one shanam to think about Sri Krishna, that's when the purification starts, and that's why it comes by chanting. Actually, it is said that in this shloka, Punya Shloka Yashaskaram, the devotee is also Punya Shloka. Of course, the word devotee or Bhagavata, we can all say we are all aspiring Bhagavatas. But real Bhagavata is one who is completely surrendered to Sri Krishna. So, actually, it is said that of all topmost three devotees of Sri Krishna, even Srimati Radharani says that Rupa Goswami, and in Sri Savali it is said that Samam Sri Rupena Smara Vivasa Radha Giri Bhrathor Raje Sakshat Seva Labhana Vidhe Tad Gana Yujoho Tad Ijyakhya Dhyana Shravananati Panchamritamidam Dhyayan Nitya Govardhanam Anudinam Tvam Bhajamanaha. So, for sake of attaining the worship of Sri Radha and Giridhari, Rupa Manjari and others, we should worship Sri Govardhana Hila. Actually, Govardhan Hill is supposed to be one of the most topmost devotees. So, without worshipping Govardhana Hill, even Srimati Radharani says that worshipping Govardhan Hill is the best servants of Hari. And only three actually Bhagavatas have been garlanded with this title of Hari servants. There are different aspects of classifications we can say of Bhagavatas and but the title of honor which Rupa Goswami says in Mana Sikshaha is Sri Yudhishthira, Uddhava and Govardhan Hill. And amongst that, Govardhan Hill is the greatest. The duty of the servant actually is to serve his master. So if you think about Govardhana, what does he do? Krishna goes to play, he takes his cowherd boys, he takes his calves, they roam in the Govardhana Hill, they play, they eat fruits, they have fun and frolic. So, apart from his aspect of being a hill and serving everyone else, the real purpose of Govardhana Hill is actually to serve in pastimes of Sri Krishna. For those who have visited Vrindavana and Sri Govardhana Hill, as you know that Radha Kund also lies in the same area. So before going and worshipping Radha Kund, one should actually also worship Sri Govardhana Hill and take obeisances to him. It is said that one should, of course, sometimes depends on people's time, they actually go directly to Radha Kund. But actually, the correct way to go Radha Kund is actually take circumambulation, parikrama of Govardhana, and then go to Sri Shyam Kund and Sri Radha Kund. Actually, that is how it comes in the parikrama path also, if you go. So, even Sri Krishna tells Uddhava, Mad Bhakta Puja Bhyadikaha. It is better to worship my Bhagavata. It may be still doubt that some people may doubt, oh, how I can attain Bhagavan directly, Sri Krishna, by this serving, his devotee. But Rupa Goswami has said that all of the things we practice of devotional service can actually be practiced by worshipping Sri Krishna's devotees. So this is why it says in actually he writes in Manasikshaha that Nitya Govardhanam Anudinam Tvam Bhaja Manaha, that worship Govardhana hill with great devotional service. Whether one can, some people may keep Govardhana Shila or someone can worship. That's why even in this sloka it is said Manasikshaha, what Rupa Goswami writes. One cannot, maybe not be physically present in Vrindavana. One can imagine. Today, thanks to the World Wide Web, people can see pictures of Govardhana Hill every day. You have to imagine 50, 100 years ago, there was no internet. So actually, the advancement of those Bhagavatas is far higher than us because they could only imagine. Why it is said that mood of separation is higher? Because separation doesn't mean we just imagine something. It actually manifests from within. It should manifest. Just like we say, creeper of devotional service has to manifest. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Cheto Darpana Marjanam, by chanting Krishna's name, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda, the beautiful qualities of Sri Krishna, how his feet is like a lotus, our heart should become like a lotus and bloom with his pastimes. And that takes time. So, Manasiksha and meditation is not, whether one worships on Omkara or other forms, it's okay. But meditation, we should not disrespect any kind of meditation which is done in Vedic scriptures. But meditation upon Bhagwan's names, Sri Krishna's names, his pastimes, they will naturally manifest when the time comes. So this is the kind of bhajana which Raghunath Das Goswami has described, that Tad Ijyakhya Dhyana Sravana Nati Panchamritam Ida Dhyanam. So there are 5 types of worships you can do for Govardhana. One is puja, which is ritual. Then is nama chanting, nama sankirtanam. Dhyanam is meditation. Sravanam and namaskaram. If you go to Govardhana, many people, one should offer obeisances. Even if not here physically, mentally you can offer obeisances. And there are those who do Govardhan Parikrama by Dandavat. They are far qualified than most of us. So that is a dedication they have. That is their offering. For Krishna, all devotional service is same. He doesn't see what is different, but it is the bhavam with what it is done. So Ijya also says, Rupa Goswami says, Shraddha Vishesh Sataha Pratisri Murter Angri Sevame. He says the lotus feet of the deity which should be served with special faith and love. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Pratima Nahe Tumi Sakshad Vrajendra Nandanaha. So what we see as Archa Vigraha is Sri Krishna himself. So Akhya means Nama Sankirtanam. Devotees should perform Nama Sankirtanam. Whether we chant at home, we chant outside, we distribute, or we plant. Always that should be done with great love and attachment. Initial, there will be stages of a Bhagavata who is aspiring to devote faith. But as time goes by, the Nama Sankirtanam, the goal and the means is the same. There is no difference between the two. So many Bhagavatas question that, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda. So his rasa, his pastimes are already there. It is that our material consciousness has created a separation. So when we can remove this material contamination, then is when the beauty and love of the pastimes and glories of Sri Krishna present in his name will be revealed to us when we chant. Also, there are 5 kinds of, we say, stages, which is in Dhyanam, which is Smaranam, which is a random occurrence. Smaranam means once in a while we think. Then Dhyanam, which is meditating specifically, which is uh, we chant our rounds or we chant in the temple. Then there is Dhruvanas, uh, Dhruvas, Dhruvanusmriti. It means to meditate continuously like a stream of vector. That is what is important, we should aspire for. Of course, we have material lives, we may have careers, we have responsibilities. That is okay. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita from a practical sense, Yat karosi yadasnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kuruso madarpanam. So then we can say one is fixed in the practice of Raganuga Bhakti, then this Smaranam becomes like a Siddha Swarupa. And at that time is when the realization comes that that's the stage what we call as a pure bhakti, unalloyed devotion or a pure Bhagavata. That is called when you experience the relish, the nectar in meditation. And of course, Sravana means hearing topics of Sri Krishna from the mouth of saintly devotees. So, Jiva Goswami has also said that this is a very important practice because without hearing, one cannot develop taste, whether it be material object or maybe spiritual life in reality. Whether we study in a school, everything, everywhere we study. So, of course, Sri Krishna's names, forms, pastimes are always to be realized. So, in Bhakti Sandarbha, he says that Tatrarpi Savasana Manunvabha Mukhat Sarvasya Sri Krishna Namadi Shravanam Tu Parama Bhagyet Eva Sampadyate. There is like, this is the nectarian engagement which keeps actually engaged. So Govardhana Hill, as I said, always resides, he is there, he's instructing always to worship and be assisting Sri Radha and Krishna, just like Lalita Devi, Vishaka Devi are there. So all Govardhana Hills, we say as Gaudiya Vaishnava, should take surrender of Govardhana Hill and follow in footsteps of Sri Rupa Manjari. Actually, Rupa Goswami and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami write this actually in Manasiksha, right? They say that Vratakori Vrajavase Yugala Yujvala Rase Nirantara Yuho Kore Snana Amara Aradhya Guru Rupa Prema Kalpataru Parama Vairagya Balavan. Says I always bathe in the brilliant exotic rasa of Sri Radha and Krishna, and my worshipable Sri Goswami is a yielding tree. So we see that how that we should actually always be engaged in this kind of uh, devotional service and glorification of actually Govardhana Hill is very important, and surrender, because only by him we can come closer to actually Sri Radha and Krishna. And of course, serving Bhagavatas is also important. And then comes when, as I mentioned about Radha Kunda, a wonderful verse is written. It says, Vrajabhuvi Murasatro Prema Sinam Nikamair Asulabham Apiturnam Prema Kalpa Drumam Tam Janayati Hirde Bhumo Snaturuchai Priyam Yat Tadati Surabhi Radha Kundam Eva Shrayo Me. He writes, very fragrant, dear, and beautiful Radha Kunda, which instantly makes a desire tree of prema sprout in the heartland of anyone who bathes there. Although this is very difficult to attain even for Krishna's beloveds in Vrajabhumi. So, why it is said how Raghunath Das Goswami has written is actually the desire for service and ultimate goal is to serve Sri Krishna and his Bhagavatas. One, we can say that how do we attain the supreme goal? Why they say that one should go in a dhamam, one should visit these punya kshetrams. It says punya shloka. The punya shloka attributed to devotees, because just like worshipping Sri Krishna's feet is important, worshipping his devotees and chanting their glories is also important. We may chant, we have our, the best example we can give is our gurus or spiritual masters we have, or actually speaking in terms of other associates of Sri Krishna or in other avatarams. So if you want to directly worship Sri Krishna and some of them may be attached directly to worshipping his Bhagavatas. So, like many of us, we may worship our spiritual master. Why we say in the morning, Samsara Dava Nalalida Loka Tranayaka, when we chant that. Why we say? Because we want to surrender to our spiritual master. He can guide us. By worshipping his feet, when we will attain all perfection. So how in this slokam actually, after we if we get Karuna of Govardhana Hila, so one important aspect is the essence is Karuna is important, mercy. But the best example is the rain. When it pours, it actually pours equally to everyone. When Indra gives rain, of course, based on the karma and what is supposed to happen, he may give. That is different story. But when it falls how it is. If we don't capture it, whether in a pond, lake, wherever it does, then the water will flow back to the ocean. Similarly, to get karuna or mercy, we say of Govardhan or Radharani, we should be able to hold it. If you have a pot with holes and you pour water, the water will go away. So, for us to get the mercy means we have to have a pot which is strong. And what is that is actually of no offenses. If we do nama paradam, we do offenses, then no matter how much you chant, whatever you do, the pot, everything will flow down. So, actually in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also in Chaitanya Charita it said, Sadhya vastu sadhana vina keho nahi paya. No one can attain goal without practicing actually. And one can say that to attain this mercy of Srimati Radharani, Sanatana Goswami also writes in Bhagavad Bhagavata Amrita, Saradhika Bhagavad Kvachit Shyate Chet Prema Tad Anubhavam Rachati Murtimansa. Anyone somehow who sees Srimati Radhika will experience prema in real form. And he says that, of course, anyone takes a single bath in Radha Kunda causes the tree of prema to sprout in one's heart. But the practical question everyone will ask is, all of us go there, we see everyone bathe. Not that we should judge, we have no right to judge who is what. But a practical question comes is, so many people bathe, go to Radha Kund. All of us may have, many of us have gone. But how is that the prema has not sprouted yet, or it is still sprouting in that? So to that actually, Raghunath Goswami writes that only an offenseless soul who bathes in Radha Kunda will attain the love of Godhead. Otherwise, this would actually be visible on anyone who bathes there. So Raghunath Goswami writes that offenseless persons. So offenseless means anukulasya sankalpasya, not doing things which are unfavorable to Sri Krishna. Offenses can be different things. We chant 10 offenses in the morning. Of course, that is the first order of offenses. And there is a deeper aspect if you go into every one of them. But at least one should not commit offenses by mind, thought, or deed. Deed is the last. That should not come only. But even by thought, one should slowly not get away. So, it is said that the whole Vrajamandala has power to give prema bhakti to all the pilgrims actually. In Padma Puranam, it is said that Dinam ekam niveshena haro bhaktir prajayate. That simply by staying in Mathura district for one day, one will attain devotional service to Hari. So, what is so special about bathing in Sri Radha Kunda? So, answer to this is love for Sri Krishna is greater than love for any form of God, because Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam and Ragatmika Vrajavasis are far greater than this. So, it says that Prema Kalpadruma attained, which is the desire tree of love, attained by bathing in Sri Radha Kunda is something which is important for offenseless devotees. So, for someone who says, okay, I am committing offense, what do we do? Actually, the solution to that is one should start reducing one's offenses. And as you bathe, you should bathe with humility, not thinking I will get purification. That should be the mood actually. It should be with humility actually. That I am getting the opportunity to think about you and to even come and touch and bathe you. Bathe does not mean splashing. Of course, Jalakrida pastime, which tomorrow there will be boat festival, which is described wonderful in in Chaitanya Leela or even in many other temples they do. That is where it happens. So we know the how Radha Kund and Shyam Kund was formed. So bathing in Radha Kund, thinking about the waters itself, is actually considered to be sacred. So when that which is something sacred, yes, we can get the mercy or karuna, but we should be able to receive it. So receiving it means without any offenses, chanting without any expectation of return. Going to the topmost Vraja devotee is the one who actually goes without expectation. If we think we are very qualified, one should think about the cows and calves who roam in Vrindavana. Actually, they are actually far, far more qualified than us. We may think we may do devotional service here, but actually, the cow or the calf born there is actually pious. It's not ordinary. Similarly, going to Radhakund, going to Govardhana Hill should be done with karpanyam, which means with meekness, out of humility, that I have got this opportunity in this lifetime. Who knows whether I did in my past or no. But if we pray like this, then the devotional, the creeper, which as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, the growing of the creeper of devotional service, Bhakti Lata Beej, forget about first, we want to spread Krishna's name and we want to tell people. But one should also sustain himself first. If your own tree and trunk is not strong, you will not be able to sustain other people. Actually, yes, it causes purification for many people. That is a way of how everyone's karma is unique and different. Only Bhagavan Sri Krishna knows. So people think by chanting Krishna's name, karma gets absolved. No, that is spiritual life. How karma, the topmost devotee is the one for all of us is, as karma comes, we have to accept it as it is. We don't want cheating. So the answer is, we cannot say the best thing is, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has only said, I should say is, Ashlisyava padaratam pinashtumam. You know, we may say, okay, Krishna, forgive me for my offenses, that is correct. But even if you decide to punish me, I will accept it as it is. But we should still be in his devotional service. So this is how we say that what is the significance of what is Punya Shloka of Govardhana Hila, of Radha Kunda. Why that even inhabitants of all these different dhama, whether we take Purusham Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, Dwaraka Dham, there is Badrinath. There are many dhams and places in India. So a lot of people are actually living in these places. So one should actually be surrendered in this. So then only we comes to the stage of vibhavas, anubhavas, satvika bhavas, and vyabhachari bhavas. The first is just outside realization, then is anubhavam, then satvika bhavam, then only comes vyabhichari bhavas. So that's why we should come to the stage gradually. One shouldn't aspire. But that's why it is said that people ask the question, as Raghunath Goswami says, oh, if you are offenses, that means we should not go in. No. Once someone has heard this instruction, then one has to slowly start reducing his offenses. If for the ignorant person who doesn't know, that is okay. But once you know about it, then you have to start reducing it. Otherwise, there is no use. Just like, for example, when we chant our Mahamantra or Japam, we should chant without offenses. Now, initial stages, people may have distractions, whatever may be other reasons. But at some point, when you have heard the instruction, then one should actually adhere to it or be strong to aspire for it. Only then the lotus will bloom inside us. So I think I would just leave this, that one shlokam which Raghunath Das Goswami says about Radha Kunda. Nitya Snana Kore Yuhon Sri Radha Kundete Krishna Prema Kalpa Vriksha Tara Hridayate Pradur Bhuta Hoye Shighra Kundera Prabhave Vraja Vraje Vraja Rama Deva O Yaha To Durlabe Ye Radha Kunda Hoy At Satya Priya Se Sarovara Mora Ekanta Ashrayaha. So the wish yielding tree of Sri Krishna actually grows swiftly in the heart of anyone who bathes in Sri Radha Kunda. This is the prowess of this kunda. So he takes shelter of this. So I will end today's class. If anyone have any comments or want to share. So, yes, Prabhuji. Until mind is fixed, he should continue practicing yoga. Correct. So mind fixed means one should be dedicated. So that is called dhridam or vishwasam. Example best is, I can say, is like Prahalada. One example. There are many devotees we can use example. But fixed means no matter what happens, I am surrendered to him. I will not deviate. Yes, initial stages, people's minds may not be 100% at whatever may be one's journey. It doesn't matter from this lifetime or wherever they have come. They may have different understanding. But why Prabhupada writes is that the conclusion is a perfect yogi should always be accustomed. Perfect yogi, yoginam api sarvesham. That's what is actually relating to here. That unless mind is fixed in that way, no matter any difficulty comes, anything happens. Sometimes people question faith, people lose faith, or people may say, why this is happening to me? The perfect yogi will never ask why it is happening to him. He will say, this is my doing. That is the understanding. If we question that Bhagavan didn't put us this body, correct? In my body, I choose to desire to take this. Every difficulty which has come is part of my own karma or collective. Whether you call Adhyatmika karma, Adi Bhautika karma, Adi Devi, whatever you want to say, everything coming together is coming. But the perfect yogi is the one who is accustomed. So before mind is fixed, we may do something. But of course, even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that it is not like initial stages you do something, it is waste. The imperfect yogi will come always slowly and gradually. So, but the most important is to continue practicing yoga. Because if we don't, the best way I can example is for a Ragatmika Bhagavata, one doesn't need to tell him that he has to worship Sri Krishna or he has to get up in the morning or do what he wants. For the initial stages, it may be, oh, I have to get up, I have to do this, I have to chant my rounds. That is that initial stage. The normal stage is, I am so grateful. Every day morning I wake up, I am looking forward to see Bhagavan. I am looking forward to relish his nectar. I am so fortunate that I have given the opportunity to chant. That is the stage of actually fixed compared to one who says, I have 16 rounds, I have 4 rounds, I have 6. I'm just giving an example. This is one example. I mean, is that Prabhuji what you are asking or in, correct? No, actually it's the other way around. So I will explain. Okay, I think I explain this to you. So even from a practical sense, um, Krishna, when he explains in Bhagavad Gita, he says, uh, karma yoga, Krishna consciousness, dhyana yoga, then he tells bhakti yoga, correct? So say someone who is coming initially from karma yoga, then he comes to karma yoga and Krishna consciousness. Then someone says, I want to do dhyana yoga, and someone wants to eventually do bhakti yoga. Can we say the one who does bhakti yoga, he does practice karma yoga and dhyana yoga, correct? Naturally, for all of us. The same way. So when one comes from a stage of, uh, let's say, someone who doesn't understand principles of whether devotional or Vaishnavistic life of cleanliness principle, does it mean that one who is after come to that stage, they don't practice? No, they will practice. It becomes part of life like that. Like maybe I will just use an example that uh, someone who is, say someone who is not accustomed to never taking bath, I'm just using it, just a hypothetical example. After some point when he comes to this Vedic way of life will understand, yes, cleanliness, saucham, being clean inside and outside is always there. So one, we don't stop actually. It is only adding more and more. So that's why even as it is said in surrender is anukulya sankaspa pratikulpa varjana, means first is not doing things unfavorable to Lord and then doing favorable things. Naturally, when we come to that stage of favorable, we will only do things which are favorable. We will never think about unfavorable things. So the same thing is all those practices which we have done, it becomes part and parcel of life. Now, can there be some, I mean, in the practical world, yes, there may be some things which may be different, but that doesn't mean stop, right? So that's why it is also said that we in our material bodies at this point, we cannot imitate the Nitya Siddhas or the Bhagavatas who are eternally serving, right? Like for example, as it is said, not even a leaf, even an atom can move without Sri Krishna's will in Goloka Vrindavana, right? They are 24/7 engaging in Nitya Kainkarya Seva, which means eternal service. Uh, are they not chanting? Are they chanting 16 rounds? Or are they engaged 24/7? Which way would say? They are actually far beyond that. So as we advance more and more, we only add more. We don't reduce more. So even practicality for people who practice that, one who practices bhakti yoga actually naturally practices karma yoga and dhyana yoga. Actually, what we do dhyana, we sit in the temple, we do meditation, whether we dedicate our life or results is actually karma yoga and Krishna consciousness. Any other comments? Or? Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Right. I mean, it is, yes. I mean, actually, just to only add that is actually when someone is preaching also, they are doing Sravanam Krishna, Smaranam Vishnu, Smaran Vedam. They are spreading Bhagwan's name, Sri Krishna's name, they are chanting and everything. But of course, it is an indirect way. It is not a direct way. That is once, see, there are two kinds, I said. One is one's internal practice first. If one cannot do internal practice, he cannot go, they say practice what you preach. And this all comes from Vedam. It says Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara. Means first you speak the truth and then you speak to others. The one who is lying should not go and talk to others actually. So the same thing is, just as you said, Prabhuji, it's correct that uh, preaching or prachar, what we do, or spreading, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of us, we do spread Sri Krishna's name, is actually an indirect way of Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Though we are engaged, but we are engaging other people. That's why Japam, what we do is internal, and Sankirtanam is external for everyone. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else? Yes, Prabhuji. Right. Yes, bath. Right. One should not, yeah. I'll just repeat the question for those people online. So Prabhuji just asked, how do we glorify devotees, especially Govardhan Hill and Radha Kund, because of the way. In a way, Prabhuji, what you're asking is correct, that there are certain norms which are to be followed, whether for Govardhan Hill or Radha Kund. But the best way, Prabhuji, we can see is for, that's why Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami wrote the Manasiksha. So what he wrote is Ijyam or Manasiksha means meditation. Glorification of course, we glorification of other devotees is a different question. But first, to answer specifically, Prabhuji, for Radha Kund and Govardhana Hila, as whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Shad Goswamis have said, is singing glories, meditating upon them is also a way of actually glorification, right? Now, yes, it is not said one should not step on Govardhana Hill, because, and Radha Kund, you can take the water, you can splash it, we should not go and jump and bathe. That's why I mentioned about being with humility. Yes, nothing wrong. See, there are many people who take, I will not, that is a personal, people can do nothing wrong. But the question is, what is one's mood when they do it? ऐसा नहीं कि अभी, okay, I can't say Hindi, I will say more fluently, but let me put it in English. It's not like I jump in Radha Kund immediately, I'm going to come out with, oh, spiritual body. It doesn't work like this. That comes only once one is purely offenseless. Raghunath Das Goswami himself writes, one has to be offenseless completely. Offenseless means completely above rajas, tamas, sattvas, like that. That means immediate, at that point comes means one will immediately quit his body. He will go back. He will not stay here only. That time Sri Krishna will decide that your time is done, your karma is absolved, you have to cut all your bonds, and you are going up. That's how it happens. So, but it's an important question, because glorification can be, Prabhuji, like as we said, whether we celebrate festivals, we come to the temple, we chant ourselves. That's why it says the now forms of devotional service, Smaranam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Smaranam is actually the first. Glorification doesn't mean external glorification, I mean, it's okay, people do it, people have different ways, but first is from internal bhavam, what is glorification. If we see Kala, just example, I am so happy to see from within, that is called real glorification. Glorification, okay, I may be on a mic and speaking, but the point is, it's not like glorification saying, glorification comes from within. Maybe the practical example is in a family, when you are there, you may tell about your wife, spouse, everything like that. But first it comes from within. That is a bhavam. That is how glorification comes. Then you serve. Of course, our acharyas have said that we cannot, even in this shloka and other places, we, Raghunath Goswami said that, oh, how can we attain perfection by, can we attain Krishna by serving the other devotees? The answer is yes. So he says only by serving our acharyas or guru or other bhagavatas who are qualified is actually that causes, that is also glorification. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Bhakti Lata, Bij and the creeper. We don't need to directly, we cannot approach Sri Krishna or Radha directly. Even one should understand that when they go to spiritual world, you cannot go there directly. So the question many people ask is, Arey, if I don't go, I can't serve, then what is there? Go to spiritual world only, that's his fortune. One should pray that if I get born like a dust, that itself is enough. That itself life goal is satisfied. I'm not saying we are worshipping only in Santarasa, but saying that that should be the humility. So again, to answer your question, Prabhuji, glorification of all personal pastimes, paraphernalia, or those who are eternal associates, they come by hearing, sharing with other people, and of course, as much as possible, if we can tell to other people also, right? We, some may be expert in writing poetry or glorifying many things, but even having a festival, whatever we do, whether here in the temple or at home or you worship, that itself is called glorification. So that's how we should be. But glorification should be with humility, again, without expectation of return. If we, nothing wrong, actually Bhagwan is also happy that if you boldly perish, that if you glorify my devotee, he gets happy, as he says. But glorification should not be, I am getting kickback. That is not devotional service. Glorification, like for example, when we worship Prabhupada, we are worshiping Prabhupada only to make sure we get his mercy. Example, I don't want anything else. Same way. That's another way to relate. I didn't say, Raghunath Das Goswami says. So it will come. That is why it is said is, again I repeat Shishtastakam so many times, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said Shishtastakam only is the main thing. Ashlishya va padaritam pinashtu mam. Whether it comes in this life or no, I am surrendered to your feet. Why do we worry about it? So the answer is, one should not, yes, we will come to it. Let me explain this to you practically. As a body, physical body, we cannot stay in clean state forever, naturally, okay, from a realistic physiological standpoint of view, right? So does it mean we will never attain spiritual body like this? No, we'll have to quit this body. So same way that realization, when it happens, it happens. So Prabhuji, the answer is offenseless. So for example is, when we breathe also, Prabhuji, you are killing so many organisms. Naturally, na? When we breathe itself, we are killing. That it is said by the laws of karma, as long as one has a material body, you have to be independent of something or someone else in this material world, right? So why I am saying that, Prabhuji, is because the same way, still we are around here, there will be interaction. We cannot live in a mountain by ourselves, correct? So of course, to answer your question, offenseless means one should at least not do offenses by deed. There are three things, as you know: deed, word, and thought. Deed, at least one should stop. Deed means ninda or whatever you say, right? Different kinds, that's a different story. Word should also not come. Thought is the last, because it's a subtle mind, right? So first, naturally deed will stop, then word will stop, then thought will also should not come. And the only way to, as Prabhupada and Acharyas have said, is the only way to remove the thought is actually chant the Krishna's name. So when we chant more, the purification will come and it will not come. That is why even that whole Angam of Sharanagati says, Anupulya Sankasva Pratikulpa Varjanam, then comes Goputva Varanam. So Pratikulpa Varjanam means, when you don't have ability to think anything negative or wrong, then only good thoughts will come. But yes, in the practical world, Prabhuji, I do understand that offenses are there. But see, there are offenses which are committed anyway. This is a deeper topic, but offenses which may be committed unknowingly and knowingly. Knowingly, one should not commit. If you commit knowingly, then you have to do prashchitam. Go ahead, Prabhuji. Subtle. Uh, that is correct. So the answer is only, that's why I said even same glorification is when we feel we are unqualified. That is the state of meekness. So that is that what you are stating, the state Prabhuji as Acharyas have described is not considered offenseless. See, one way is, the way to look at it is in a black and white is, offenseless means first not doing offense, and then is not have ability to think in the subtle way. Okay. Not doing should happen at some point. This is natural common sense, right? Eventually. The not doing stuff, that we have to leave to him, to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. You have to leave to him. You cannot predict. Like for example, I may walk on this floor. There may be some bacteria. I have killed it. I know knowingly I have done, but I can't stop it. When we breathe also, that's why I use the example. That is part and parcel of the karma we have actually. So that, and the as I was just saying, that Ashlisyava Padaratam Pinashtuma means, we go, let's say I will use the practicality. You come to Radha Kund. Yes, you want to at least splash the water on yourself, whether not take bath or something. You have to go with humility saying, I am not qualified. I would like to get the mercy. Even if whether I got purified or no, I am just fortunate to see you. Fortunate to just touch with my material body. Even if you purify me just one small shanam, I am thankful. Whether, again, to say as Ashlisya Vapadaritam Pinashtuma means, I don't matter whether I even go back in this God, I don't know, I will still be your devotee. Many people who reside in Radha Kunda, they are fortunate for whatever reason. They worship the Radharani and they live by Govardhana Hill. Actually, if you interact them, because you cannot interact, some of them are very humble and meek in what they live. There are all kinds of people, but we have to say there are good people also, right? Who are very sincere and they are living like this. Their sense of humility is like, we are fortunate to reside. God or mercy. But they don't feel that ego. The moments ego comes, offense comes. We can see in pastime with Krishna, when gopis are there, he goes away. It is not that they have offense, it is just that he used to explain to us. Gopis don't have ego. This all pastime is only to show us examples actually. So again, Prabhuji, the answer to your subtle is, it will be there, but that's why every day we engage in our Guru, Shastra, worshipping Sri Krishna, and as much as possible. That's why I say every day, every night, we should pray that if there is anything knowingly we should not do. If unknowingly I have done, when we say, Prabhuji, when we say mantra hinam, kriya hinam, bhakti hinam, jan, you say in the puja room, that is not for knowing offenses. Unknowingly, if we do something, that also you forgive me. But if you don't forgive me also, I will accept the punishment. That is the humility. So we should not cheat like, Ajamila is an experience, okay? We should not, I'm not here to say wrong about Ajamila. We can't say, just because we chant last minute, 5 minutes, and we wear Tulsi Mala. No, actually, the thing is, I agree. I will say personally, I am a sinful person. Yamaraj, if I am coming to you, I am happily ready to take punishment for my past offenses. One should think like that. Then up to Sri Krishna, whether he decides to absolve or no. That is why Kunti says, give me difficulty. If you have to take example of the stalwart Bhagavatas, they say, give me difficulty. Why? Because she is ready to suffer. So that's what it is. It is not a erasing slate. Of course, naturally, as Shastra says, that devotional service can burn the fire of material existence. It is an effect which happens. But the pure devotee doesn't say that because I do this, this will happen. Whether it happens or no, I am not worried. If I were to take example of Prabhupada, he came at a particular age. Yes, he is not an ordinary person, right? It is to show example to us actually, right? But the way example he showed is, in spite of coming at this age, the difficulty as an example to us is, no matter what, I am still surrendered to Sri Krishna, right? So we should take aspiration from all this, and that's why he says that offenseless is actually possible, but the bar to measure is decided by him, not by us. We cannot decide it. But of course, one shouldn't say that, just using an example, I will do anything outside and then come. That is called cheating. You cannot dictate your rules. Okay, that is called cheating philosophy. I'm not saying in general. I'm saying to people who may be hearing, right? They'll say, I'll eat anything I want. Okay, that is not like this happens. there are some certain norms, principles which are given, as I've said. I don't want to add anything, it's my interpretation. Okay, we'll end today's class. Vrindraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Today's Ekadashi for those hearing. If you all want to abstain from grains and everything, please do so. Hare Krishna.